Smart 24, driving business.
Hello, good evening and welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. A busy Friday it is, but first, a look at the top stories. In the bulletin tonight, we look at social media tax. Parliament rejects reinstatement of tax in the 2023 Amendment Bill. Elsewhere, the Tororo Gulu MGR stumbles over 6,000 bone seedlings up productivity for the on-demand product. Also, the Albertine wrap induces cassava cash. Farmers in Bulisa turn cassava into cash crop, while PDM is still a mystery. All right, now we start off from the Albertine region. Over 5,000 people have been relocated to set up oil well pad, central processing facility and flow lines in Bulisa district. The stronghold for Tilenga project and of course the smallholder farmers have now turned cassava into a cash crop. The pups currently seem convinced to attain a better livelihood from various agricultural leaning engagements, including fruit farming, beekeeping and the predominant livestock farming. Ronan Ahawe has details relating to the Albertine wrap inducing the cassava cash. Let's have more.
The poverty line index has hit 12 million mark, up from 8 million according to UBOS's 2019-2020 Uganda National Household Survey report. Despite Bunyoro's declining poverty numbers from 17% to 10%, travel through the villages such as Gwendo and Buhuku offers a sight of wattle houses, a factor that undermines the declining figures. 1 among every 5 Ugandans is too poor to live on 6,000 shillings per day. That is according to Uganda Bureau of Statistics report of 2019. As the oil journey assumes force, the Tilenga project's influence on socio-economic development has had to involve parties such as Living Earth Uganda to expand livelihood restoration with cassava, a dominant agro-product.
On planting and planting activities. So under this we look at site selection, seeds that they are supposed to plant, how they are supposed to plant it, the methods used in planting. Then we also train them on crop management practices, where we train them on weed management, how to control weeds, how they can identify the weeds. We also train them on soil and water conservation, how they can keep moisture into their soils. This is by use of mulches and also some methods.
Mobot Paris is one of the 30 cassava farmers who make up the Onogom Okelo group. He told Smart 24 TV that the chipping machine has made labor force much easier for women because it takes less time to cut the gathered cassava, and sales are currently at 30,000 shillings a basin in nearby markets.
One basin it is 30,000 when we ship it, like hours which we was using, but the one we should dry 1 week We use basin. One basin it is 30,000, and then a sack. One sack it can be around 150 like that. Yes, 150,000 like that. Yes, and right now we are seeing that there is some changes. And even you also you are seeing you have a grinding machine which is shipping the cassava.
Previously, they used to do fermenting. So fermenting, they remove the cassava from the garden, ferment it, then they sun dry it. So you could find that it takes them a week if there is sufficient sunshine. But if there is no sufficient sunshine, you find that it takes more than 10 days even for them to get dried cassava chips. So with the technology we are promoting, they harvest from the garden, come here, peel, wash, then put in the machine. Then the machine chips. If there is enough sunshine, the chips dry within just 1 day. So you find that the time they could waste or take when they are drying, using the other local way, they could take like 10 days. But now in 10 days, you find that someone has done 10 harvests and he has also sun-dried more than 10 times. So you find that this enables them to generate incomes for their family just in a faster way.
Juliet Kawambe emerges from her grass-thatched home carrying 2 bowls of cassava chips. One bowl holds beautifully chipped cassava that has been cleaned, while the other is loaded with large chips that have been traditionally chipped. Due to low production and productivity, inadequate storage facilities, limited market access, and less value addition, the National Development Plan 3 implementation still drags, despite the President's emphasizing such factors and the current parish development model severely battered.
And we even people of Avogara, I'm hearing that the money is there in the bank. I'm thinking that there is the legislation is going to come.
Although Bunyoro has transformed cassava from food into a cash crop, it hasn't received the same attention to tobacco or coffee, for instance. Smallholder farmers in Bulisa, Hoima and Chukwe in particular are getting helped by cultivars that mature quickly and are disease-free. Agronomists have also been dispatched to help farmers grow cassava as a cash crop, with new types introduced as part of the oil and gas sector efforts for livelihood restoration. Runana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now the Parliamentary Committee on Government Assurance has grilled the State Minister for Finance, Henry Musasizi, following the abandonment of the Tororo Gulu meter gauge railway construction 3 years later, despite 16 million euros primarily earmarked for the project. Musasizi disclosed that the initiative had encountered difficulties, such as funding after partners, including the European Union, withdrew. Penson Mobere reports.
The European Union and the government of Uganda supported the development initiative for northern Uganda through the rehabilitation of Tororo Gulu railway line, which commenced in March 2022 and was expected to be completed in the second half of 2023. 3 years later, the railway project is in a limbo, with its future uncertain after the contractor terminated the contract and demanded over 16 billion from the government in compensation for violating terms of contract.
And who was directly in charge of this contract in Ministry of Finance, this project actually?
Henry Musasizi, Minister of State for Finance, has therefore been questioned by the Parliament Committee on Government Assurance as to why the Teso Gulu meter gauge railway project has been terminated after receiving 16 million euros from government.
The accountability that has been given to this committee includes buying of motor vehicles, expenditures on fuel, payments for offices, yet the contract never took off. So the money that was given to us by European Union, 17.5 million euros, has now been used. They have run to China. And the Chinese are going to come here with a loan, and the supplementary will come in Parliament.
Still following the termination of the contract, the contractor submitted a claim for additional payment of 9.1 million euros in respect of supervision, suspension of works and the termination of a contract, which were based on non-payment to GOU components. Accordingly, the contractor's claim is being assessed by the supervisor URC and the supervisor's representative for a determination.
The contractor Sogea Sotom indicated at the time of the contract termination, the outstanding unpaid amount was totaling to 0.7 million euros, that's equivalent to 2.5 billion in respect to the government portion. As a result of this development, the European Union also terminated its grant to Uganda for the railway project. The question is, what is going to happen to the money that had already been allocated to Sogea Sotom?
And that's why, with the records we have, most of the money that was given Sogea, they used it for administrative costs. What we are talking about is over 15 million euros that was given. So they bought vehicles, they gave accommodation to staff who were not at work.
I want to come back to this committee when I am at par with you so that I'm able to help you make reasonable conclusions.
The total project cost, including supervision and settlement action plan, among others, amounted to 47.6 million euros, of which government of Uganda would contribute 26.1 million euros, that's equivalent to 113 billion, and the European Union 21.5, that's equivalent to 93 billion. Upon termination of the contract, it's been observed that the contract has been given to another Chinese company, and now government is seeking another 248 billion inclusive of tax to rehabilitate the meter gauge railway.
Under the new procurement, the total funding requirements for the project is anticipated to be Uganda shillings 248.247 billion, inclusive of tax.
And the other fact is that the money we got from European Union has already been spent, and there is no one to pin for this money. It has been spent in buying cars.
The Auditor General's monthly progress report number 34 of August 2022 indicates that as a result of the termination, the government of Uganda will incur termination damages of up to 10% amounting to 16 billion euros. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, focus stands on social media tax, as members of parliament have opposed the introduction of a tax on social media platforms, which government intends to reinstate in the Income Amendment Bill 2023. While addressing parliament yesterday, the Speaker of Parliament informed the House that President Museveni wants Clause 16 of the Income Amendment Bill amended so that the tax on media platforms is reinstated. Samla Hanifa reports.
The introduction of the tax on income derived by non-resident persons from provision of digital services in Uganda was rejected by Parliament. The measure was meant to cater for taxation of digital economy such as Twitter, Amazon, Netflix, etc. The clause related to non-residents and non-residents in Uganda, since it does not relate to residents in Uganda, as was mistakenly stated in the minority report. It should be reinstated.
Government implemented the infamous over-the-top tax, or OTT, in July 2018 in an effort to increase revenue for the nation, but they were unable to do so and ultimately decided to repeal it. The Income Tax Reform Bill 2023, which the 11th Parliament passed in March, deleted a clause that would have taxed social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, TikTok and Instagram, among others. However, President Museveni sent the bill back so that the clause could be added back in. Parliamentarians have urged President Museveni to reconsider his plan, since it will revert the country to its previous state rather than transform it.
Theme for next year's budget: modernization of the economy through commercialization of agriculture, market access, industrialization, and digital transformation. The government of the Republic of Uganda has not given attention to the digital transformation program. Actually, when you come to the ICT sector, it's the most underfunded. to the extent that UBC, the national broadcaster as a country, has areas of close to 10 billion to the extent that even the satellite is off.
I believe certain times the government has brought those taxes prematurely without enough research. I do expect my government to stop those kind of mistakes. The taxes must be well studied that they will not derail the development of a country. Now, in the case of that particular tax on TikTok and so on.
According to legislators, many youth have embraced these social media platforms to transact their businesses since most of them are unemployed, and taxing these platforms is literally telling them to leave business.
Social media is now a platform whereby people get employment. It's employing so many people, and they use that medium to expand their businesses, to create enterprises, to really revamp and revigorate the economy. So, and also spur development in various ways. So for government now to interest herself with the drive of money. See, I always tell people that our planning is about, our taxation is about the drive of money. That revenue must come. But revenue should come when there is the economy is also moving. So that's why you collect more money. Because when you overtax and the economy is stagnant, you'll not collect more money. You'll only put more strain, more costs on those things.
So if the government is committed to ensuring that the youth use the digital platforms to get employed, you know the unemployment rate in Uganda is very high. So for me as a leader, I would think that government would look for all possible means of ensuring that the youth are engaged in active employment. So if it concentrates on taxing social media, when we have exempted taxes on gold, we were supposed to get close to 661 billion on gold. They were exempted, and we are meant to get 43 billion. So I doubt whether this is being done in good faith.
The Shadow Minister for ICT, Honorable Namuga Goreth, says ICT is the most underfunded ministry despite them advocating for more funds, and now government is taking a drastic measure of introducing this tax. She says there are more other avenues through which government can make revenue, like taxing big companies which are exempted from paying tax.
Should be see services to the people. And remember, it is the duty of government to ensure that all Ugandans are employed and live a meaningful life. So let's look at these areas. Actually, for me, I would think the president would bring back the issue of taxation of gold. The gold mines went to Kasanda with the leader of opposition. Our young men and women are suffering in those mines. But the people of Kasanda have no roads. So than looking at social media alone, let us look at these other areas, minerals and others, that can bring taxes, reasonable taxes, to government than, looking at areas that would have facilitated our youth.
The above tax has gone back to the Finance Committee for evaluation, but the opposition has vowed to resist it before it makes it to the floor of Parliament again. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, let's look at the East African Community language factor. A common language, just like the currency and customs union, has remained a key factor in East Africa's integration drive. Now Uganda is slated to host the second International Swahili Day on 7th next month, as earlier agreed on by the East African Community. While addressing media today, the Minister for East African Community Affairs, Right Honorable Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, said that following the United Nations adoption of Swahili as an African national language 2 years ago, and Uganda still having failed to take it on, the move will clearly help entrench the language starting from the primary level as scale-up ensures. We have more.
We shall have the second International Day of Kiswahili. You may recall that 2 years ago, the United Nations adopted Swahili as the first African official language to be used in the United Nations. So the celebrations will happen every 7th of July. This year will be the second year. Last year, the celebrations were held in Zanzibar. And because of our poor capacity, the East African Community agreed to come to Uganda so that we can have the celebrations here to give us a boost in our campaign. And you also may recall that as far back as 1999, when the community was revived, Swahili was declared as one of the lingua francas of the East African community. By now we should have started using Swahili in all our communications, but it has not happened as expected. That is why we are now stepping up the efforts to ensure that as many people in East Africa as possible are able to speak Swahili. Over time, efforts have been made, for instance, in the Uganda Constitution, and Article 6.2, as far back as 1995, it was agreed that Swahili be the second language of Uganda, but it has also taken time. In 2016, the East African Legislative Assembly passed resolution urging the summit to amend Article 137 of the Treaty of East Africa to make Swahili the official language. Up to now, we still use English, but now that we have the Congolese, we also now have to start using French, and now have also to use Swahili. Heads of state have also added their support. In February 2021, they declared that now the three languages of the community are English, Swahili, and French, and we should start using them. That we should start taking Swahili at primary level, so it becomes the 5th subject at arithmetic, science, SST, English, and then we add Swahili, so that we have a generation of children who speak Swahili and English as a start. And then later on, we can scale it up to other areas. I'm talking about the primary schools because we have 62,000 primary school teachers who can teach Swahili, but we have many, many primary schools in the country.
All right, now let's talk matters COP28. Despite promising deliberations at the 27th conference of the parties for the instance of the $100 billion facility for the most climate-affected developing countries, wealthy nations have failed on the promise. As COP28 closes in and countries bracing for Dubai, local activists have tasked government to own up disregard caution from COP26 provisions. About $28.1 billion is in calculation for Uganda's adaptation plan. We have details.
Do I think that we shall ever generate that 100 billion? That is a dream. That is a dream.
Climate finance provided by developed countries to developing countries to support their efforts to address climate change and its impact was one of the main issues that was discussed during the COP26. It's generally agreed that an existing target to provide $100 billion climate finance a year has been missed.
African countries and indeed the global south, we are demanding for $100 billion. Of course, failure to release those funds, Africa, vulnerable as it were, in almost all aspects of human development endeavors, including especially agriculture and health, Africa will be hit hardest.
We all understand what is going on, and as Africa we can come together and say this is why this has to come, and they can't say no, because if it's not just one country speaking but a lot of countries speaking with one voice, I don't think it's going to be hard to say no to such a thing.
Climate change activists have therefore called for self-financing of climate change and are urging government to take use of environmental levy from consolidated fund as part of means to formulate a pool of funds meant for climate change mitigation.
Because of the war in Ukraine. So it is a dream that we shall ever realize these funds. That's why I'm saying organically, internally, we can be that innovative to generate, to look out at other sources of funding, including, for example, committing our politicians to thinking into how we can make a pool, including, for example, investing into ventures which can generate money. Then this money is utilized in mitigating climate change related things. There is what we call an environmental levy. I think you've heard of it. That environmental levy goes into the National Consolidated Fund. But if it's high time, I think we prioritized it, that we go to this environmental levy and we allocate it specifically for climate change related activities.
Have agreed to disperse. What has failed is implementation. But that doesn't mean money is not moving. And that is why Africa needs to be very well positioned. Because we are talking about developed countries giving 100 billion per year and accelerating that, we are talking about their own decision to give aid. That is very hard. But there is money that is negotiated and provided on national levels and international levels, like the Adaptation Fund.
Green Africa Youth Organization Uganda Country Director Bet Osei Busu, while on Zoom, says that Uganda, similar to other sub-Saharan African, faces the impacts of climate change. Notwithstanding, youth are progressively demonstrating their leadership in tackling the climate crisis. However, they possess limited resources and capacity to do so separately. According to Margaret Ephraim, Assistant Global Coordinator from Ghana, there is a need for capacity building towards realizing carbon market framework in a bid to combat climate change financing gap.
So as the youth, one of the things we are doing is ensure that there's capacity building done. So most people are not aware of what is going on. So in Ghana, we had a carbon market framework, and we had the youth going through some sort of capacity building for them to understand. And I believe even here, not everyone knows even the climate finance you're talking about and the gaps. So one thing we as the Youth Climate Council in trying to making sure that we bridge that gap, one, making sure every youth understands even these gaps, because then you cannot approach a political stakeholder bringing your input if you're not aware of what is going on. So you need to build your capacity. So we are, partnering with other stakeholders who are very much in known of these gaps, training the youth here so they understand whatever is going on.
Uganda and many developing countries expressed dissatisfaction with the way finance is being provided, including the large percentage coming as loans, increasing the debt burden in already debt-distressed countries. Although many least developed countries like Uganda have contributed less to the climate change crisis, they are the most affected by its effects. Uganda now needs approximately $28.1 billion to implement her update nationally determinant contribution, and out of this, government is expected to meet 15% to support the implementation of the non-conditional measures and actions. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
More stories to proceed immediately after the break. Why not? Stick around with us. We'll be right back.
Smart 24, driving business.
Waliwo abagamba nti okuyiiya emizannyo si muzannyo, olina okwewaayo n'okukkiririza ennyo mu ky'oyiiya. Olina okubaayo n'omuntu akuyambako. Naye olowooza omuntu ng'ekyo kimuli mu musaayi, ebyo bimulya. Anti aba yazaalibwa kukola ekyo. Tega Pearl Magic Prime ne Pearl Magic Loco. Sigala ng'oyungiddwako olabe engero zaffe ennyuvu nga bikoleddwa mu ngeri eyaffe ey'ekinnansi.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say.
Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles?
So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21# or use the My MTN app to start enjoying.
Stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
Owa, obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange anti yo TV enkolera.
Nyumira omulembe omupya ogujjudde ebisanyusa omuli emikutu gya TV egisukka mu 8 n'egya radio nga kwotadde ne zifirimu ng'osinziirira wonna w'oli. Genda mu App Store oteeke app ya GOTV channels ku simu yo olwo onyumirwe ennaku 3 ng'olabira bwereere ewatali kukozesa data. GOTV channels.
Smart 24, driving business.
We'll be back from the break. Now we turn our focus on the extra value addition market. As President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has assured Ugandans that the country has a ready market for their value-added products. New markets in form of Eastern Europe and China are available, though uniquely accessible, as they prefer finished products. And according to the president, it is a better option, unlike the West that often exploits African states by buying raw materials at low prices. In a similar drive, he recons commercial agriculture and embracing programs such as PDM and Emyoga. We have more.
Tufuna akatale ka abantu abali obuvanjuba bwensi, Eastern Europe, Eastern world. Etandikira China walako naye ne bajja no Russia neyo yonna buvanjuba. Kati abantu abo ekyenjawulo ekiriwo kiri nti omukifo ky'okugula amabidde nga bano abazungu bwe babadde batukola nti fe abasulu tukome ku mabidde, omugezi yabasogola omubisi, yabakola omwenge, yabayongeramu nakale akasinga kubatawanya ennyo akawalagi. Ebyo byonna oli omugezi yaba abikola, gwe omusiru osigale kulima amabidde gokka. Kati bano abazungu ab'obuvanjuba bo baagala tebaleetere kali akasinga okubatawanya, kali waragi ewedde nga bali ab'amaka tubawadde ssente za PDM. Kati abaana batagala kukwata mu ttaka nga nze bwe njagala ettaka ennyo, bo bakole by'emikono. Abo bayita mu myoga, kubanga myoga kigambo kya Linyankole kitegeeza obukugu obwera obwedda obw'obujjajja, okubajja, okukomaga, okubumba yali myoga yedda ey'obujajja kati ekigambo nakireeta n'enkibanzika mu Abannayuganda ab'olwaleero nti naamwe muloze ku by'obujajja kati emyoga waliyo sente z'abaana abatagala abazzukulu abatagala okulima n'okulunda.
All right, away from that, we head to the East African community as coconut farmers in Kilifi have embarked on a game-changing journey as they commence harvesting from the first bunch of hybrid trees imported in 2019 from India. Now, introduction of the hybrids is set to revolutionize the coconut industry in the region, offering significant advantages over the traditional variety. Naomi Mutumba reports.
Kenya has begun harvesting from the first hybrid coconut trees that were imported from India and planted in Kilifi County in 2019. With a new hybrid variety, farmers in Kilifi can now look forward to an increased production potential of more than 300 coconut fruits per tree. This significant boost in productivity will not only provide the farmers with improved income but also meet the rising demand for coconuts in the country. In a remarkable development for Kenya's agriculture sector, over 6,000 hybrid coconut seedlings imported from India have triggered a positive environmental shift on numerous farms across the country. These hybrid coconut trees, known for their shorter maturity period and significantly higher yields, are swiftly changing the farming landscape and contributing to an increased national GDP.
Sisi kule Lamu ni wakulima wa nazi, na nazi imekuwa adimu sana, imekuwa ikididimia.
Coconut growth has depreciated because of the sunshine, but there is the new hybrid. Coconut will help us.
Tukenda hii njia ya hybrid coconut, basi uchumi wetu utaimarika na hino bidhaa adimu ambayo ni nazi imepotea.
Coming this financial year starting July, we will be training farmers how to plant hybrid coconuts.
Ikipandwa inakuwa tayari baada ya miaka mitatu na pia mazao yake ni ya hali ya juu sana tukilinganisha na East African tall ambayo wakulima wengi wameweza kupanda. Na pia hii hybrid coconut mazao yake iko juu, inatoa nuts zaidi ya 300 kwa mti, kwa kila mti kila mwaka.
As demand for coconuts grows across the country, experts are asking farmers in Kilifi to embrace hybrid coconut varieties to fulfill rising customer demand. Prices for coconuts have more than doubled in major towns, from 50 Kenyan shillings to 100 Kenyan shillings per coconut as a result of the increasing demand.
Baada ya miaka mitatu minazi kweli ilianza kututolea mazao.
The difference between the breed is that the hybrid take 3 years, while the old coconuts, which takes 5 years. Hybrid coconuts also produce more fruits compared to the original ones.
The young generation are losing interest in coconut farming. But by these hybrid trees where the yield is more, so the returns to the farmer can be about 4 to 5 times. Harvesting costs are minimal. So I'm hopeful that interest from the young generation in coconut farming will come back.
The increased coconut production has created ripple effects across related industries such as food processing, cosmetics and hospitality, paving way for greater employment opportunities and improved export potential, thus boosting the national economy. Embracing hybrid coconuts presents a promising solution for farmers to capitalize on this lucrative market. Naomi Mutumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, still within the region though, Vodacom DRC, a subsidiary of Vodacom South Africa, has taken stride to tap into the extractives industry. DRC, a major powerhouse in the global mining industry, has presented extra market for financial inclusion with millions of nationals entrenched in the predominantly artisanal mining trade. We have details in this report.
Vodacom displayed its cutting-edge technological services to the mining industry while at the Mining Week event in the Democratic Republic of Congo. One of their products, Umoja, offers an employee self-service system enabling mine workers to get critical alerts and updates on their mobile phones in collaboration with Glencore and Standard Bank. Additionally, M-Pesa from Vodacom promotes financial inclusion in isolated regions where conventional banks are not available.
We launched a product called Umoja with the DRC's current biggest mine, the Glencore Group, in partnership with Standard Bank. It's an ESS system which stands for Employee Self-Service and allows employees to get messages no matter where they are in the mine. Because if you're in a mine, you see the distances involved in getting everyone together in the morning in the same place.
According to Ms. Pamela Ilunga, Deputy CEO of Vodacom Congo, the company seeks to improve the standard of living for Congolese who work in these mines. By actively taking part in the Democratic Republic of Congo's economic development, Vodacom will boost the regional economy and enhance the quality of life for Congolese citizens. Vodacom is dedicated to connecting the disconnected and offering connectivity solutions to improve communities despite obstacles like energy shortage.
We have a responsibility as a Congolese company under Congolese law, with Congolese people who make up 98% of the employees of this company, to leave a legacy of something good.
And well, that's it for business today. As we come to the end, let's first have a recap of our top stories. In the bulletin tonight, we look at social media tax. Parliament rejects reinstatement of tax in the 2023 Amendment Bill. Elsewhere, the Tororo Gulu MGR stumbles over 6,000 bone seedlings up productivity for the on-demand product. Also, the Albertine wrap induces cassava cash. Farmers in Bulisa turn cassava into cash crop, while PDM is still a mystery. And well, now we do officially come to the end of business today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko, Winnie Wins and Akauchi on for the sign language interpretation. Today is the 30th of June. Tomorrow will be 1st July. We want to wish you all the best for the new month, and we hope that your goals and aspirations do come to pass. A profitable one to all the business community players out there, and to every one of you who is always watching Business Today. Good evening, a lovely weekend, and a good night.
Up next on Smart 24 TV.